What you need to know is that you making the changes already has such a juicy, significant impact. So when one woman decides to heal, she heals 7 generations that came before her and 7 generations that came after her. So by me deciding, hey, I'm no longer going to stuff trauma and shame and anxiety in my body and then do a bunch of things to deal with it that aren't super healthy.
Hey, I'm Brooke Jean, therapist, recovering perfectionist, and struggling working mom on a mission to normalize normal. If you're an overwhelmed, high-achieving, and secretly anxious mama, struggling to balance it all and on the brink of burnout, you are in the right place. Here is where we talk about hard things like balancing work and family life, mental health, and how to navigate life-altering transitions. Nothing is too taboo here. In my conversations, I'll teach you how to let go of who you think you're supposed to be in order to create the life you've always wanted. Get ready to embrace your messy, shed the shoulds, and find freedom through a life unperfected. This is the Unperfected Pod.
Hey beauty, welcome back to the Unperfected Pod. I am so happy and grateful that you are here. Listen, before we jump into today's episode, which is just a riff on this question and concept and phenomenon that has been occurring lately, I want to remind you that the doors are open for the Unperfected Mastermind. It's a 6-month container where you get to meet with like-minded women. We meet on Wednesdays for 75 minutes each month. Has a theme that I'm coaching on, like vision, identity, nervous system regulation, emotional intelligence, influence and power, getting clear on your brand, your offer, your messaging, all of it. We've actually decided to push the start date back to the beginning of February because the women that have already signed up and myself, there has been so much going on in this last week that we're just walking around with like our buttholes clenched. And honey, that is not how we're going to kick things off. That is not how we're going to access our creative geniuses. That is not how we are meant to thrive and shine. And so just by asking how we're feeling, and I also have like 4 women on the fence right now, I just made the executive decision that instead of starting at the end of a month that has actually been quite challenging for a lot of people, let's start at the beginning of a fresh new month. And so 2 things I want to normalize with that. Number 1, January's been hard for a lot of people. So if you're feeling like that, if you're feeling overwhelmed, overstimulated, like we're going through this freeze in Colorado right now, like it is never this cold and it's been, like 1 degree or 0 for the last 3 days, plus inauguration day, plus 3-day weekend with kids, plus recovering from the holidays, plus so many sicknesses are going around, plus. Lots of people are struggling and in like a weird funk right now. So if you are too, I just want to name and normalize that. The second thing that I want to name and normalize is that we don't have to be so rigid with our businesses. Yes, I originally wanted to start this mastermind mid-January. That has not been the flow of things. And it is okay for us to get feedback from our communities and make adjustments to what we're doing. I don't care what it looks like. I don't care if it seems like this, that, or the other. Let yourself read the energy of the room and make adjustments accordingly. You don't have to answer to anybody. It's okay to do that. So many people get so caught up on, well, I said I was going to do this, and so now no matter what, I have to, or else what will people think? The issue with that is the what will people think? Now, I am a fan for doing what you said you were going to do because that builds self-trust, that builds integrity, that builds personal power. But we have to have flexibility with it because that is literally how we're designed as women. We are not designed to have these rigid goals where if we don't execute, we shame ourselves. So I'm okay moving the start of the mastermind back a couple weeks so the women that are currently signed up can breathe, so I can breathe. And so the women that are deciding have a minute to breathe to make sure that this is really the right thing. Because the only women that I want in the mastermind are the ones that are really ready for this experience, because it is an absolute alchemical experience. You will be different after these 6 months. You can't not be changed in a group like that under my leadership. It just won't happen. So if there's a part of you that was like, I want to be in on this mastermind, reach out to me ASAP. You can direct message me on Instagram. You can email me and let me know. I have added a freaking Ireland retreat to the end of our mastermind. So last week of July, beginning of August, we are going to be going to the Tollymore Forest in Ireland for a women's retreat. You guys know that I did the Ireland retreat last fall, and it absolutely changed me, mind, body, and spirit. This location is a pocket of heaven on earth. And so I can't wait to bring the women from the mastermind to the Tollymore Forest, where we will integrate and fully embody the women that we are becoming, the women that we are stepping into in order to live the life of our dreams. So if there is a part of you that was thinking about this, get in here. Get in here ASAP. Let's do the mastermind. Let's do the retreat to Ireland. Let's get you through the unperfected method of healing, becoming, and rising. And I can't wait to see you inside. All right, that's enough for the announcements. What I want to get into today is something that's been popping up for myself, my clients, and the women that I'm in circles with, which is this. What happens when I make the decision to heal, become, and rise, but my partner doesn't, or my family doesn't, or my team isn't? Whoever are the closest people around you, I'm over here doing the work, becoming more conscious, growing, and they're not. What do I do? I'm going to tell you what not to do, because it's what I did for a long time. Trying to fix everybody else around you. When you first say yes to a personal development journey, like healing and becoming the best version of you, you start learning a lot of information. Maybe you're learning information about spirituality or mindfulness or nervous system regulation or psychology or healthy habits or what's the word I'm looking for? Manifestation and energy, whatever it is. You get really excited, right? You're like, why doesn't everybody know? Like, once I started learning about dopamine and how deprived of dopamine we are as a culture, and how we keep trying to fill that void with things that are actually making it worse, like screens and likes on social media and drinks and all of these things, I wanted everyone to know. Once I knew what brain spotting could do to heal trauma out of your brain and body and help you visualize your peak life, I want everyone to know. Once I knew how bad drinking was for you, I wanted everyone to know. Once I knew the power of meditation and mindfulness and now breath work, I want everyone to know. But, dun, 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 not everybody interested, honey. Your girl learned the hard way. Not everybody is interested. Not everybody wants to. And when we get excited about our healing journey and we start spewing it to everybody in our family, they get defensive. And so here is where I remind you that you saying yes to yourself and starting to heal, starting to step into who you really are, starting to live in alignment with that version of you, starting to be more intentional, starting to clean up your habits, starting to clean up your internal world. That doesn't mean now you have a duty to fix everybody else. What you need to know is that you making the changes already has such a juicy, significant impact. So when one woman decides to heal, she heals 7 generations that came before her and 7 generations that came after her. So by me deciding, hey, I'm no longer going to stuff trauma and shame and anxiety in my body and then do a bunch of things to deal with it that aren't super healthy, I'm actually going to heal and get this stuff out of my body. I'm going to learn healthier coping mechanisms. I'm going to use my voice. I'm going to remember my power. When I decide to do that, I am already liberating 7 generations of women that came before me and 7 generations of women that come after me. So just in your powerful, powerful decision to heal, you are already doing so much. You are what we call a generational cycle breaker. Okay. One of the cycles that I'm breaking in my family is just the woman taking on everything and holding all of it, the emotions, the mental labor, the emotional load, and putting her needs last and taking care of everyone else first. And now this is not a bad thing. This is not an opportunity for me to shame my mom or my grandmother. These women are queens. They're extraordinary. They're amazing. They did the best they could with what they had. And my mother is one of the most selfless women that you will ever meet. And I used to look up to her until I started to see what it was costing her. And then I said, wow, my mom is one of the most kind, nurturing women you'll ever meet. And what is also true is I wish that her needs mattered as much as ours did when we were growing up. I wish that she used her voice more. I wish that she was more selfish and made time and money and energy for the things that lit her up. But she wasn't set up to be that way, right? And so it's not about shaming the generations that came before us or blaming them. It's about saying, wow, I've got some really beautiful characteristics from my mom, and the whole selfless, put yourself last until you're the most resentful Rachel of all times, that ain't gonna work for me. Putting yourself first so that you can take care of your family, that feels better for me. Having dreams and speaking them into existence and believing that I can have what I want, that's starting with me. And so you have to know that just by you deciding to heal, become, and rise, the 3 pillars to the Unperfected brand, you are liberating generations beyond generations. And that is more than enough. So that's the first thing that I want to put out there right out of the gate is like, you're already doing enough. You don't need to now go preach it and teach it and try to fix and convince people. That does not help. You know, one of the things that I really discovered, and this has also been hard for me. So one of my core values is growth. Like, I love to heal, become, and rise. I am always learning. I am always in multiple programs. I am always investing in myself. I crave growth, expansion, and learning. It is core to who I am. I absolutely love it. I love listening to podcasts. I love listening to books. I love listening to your stories. I love all of it. Every single day, I want to grow and learn something new and be expanded in my consciousness than I was the day before. And it turns out, my friends, that not everybody is like that. Who knew? I thought we were all here on Earth, honey, to be at Earth School, and we are all on a mission to become the best versions of ourselves. And I gotta tell you, that is not true. And it is triggering when you're the individual who is pouring into herself and doing the work and shedding the layers and investing in the therapy and the coaching and all the things. And then you have a partner who's like, I'm actually good with myself. I don't really feel like I came here to grow and to grow at the pace that you're growing. And for a long time, I was in resistance with that. And what I'm learning is there is a place and a space for all of us. All of our souls came here with different missions, or our energy came here with different missions. And some is to grow, and some is to be content. Some is to lead a big mission in the world, and some is to be the best dad or the best leader or like steady frickin' Eddie. And that is also magnificent. That is also beautiful. And people can grow at a different pace. Here's another trigger for me. Not only do I want to grow, I like things that move, honey. I want to grow at a pace. Like I want to see results. I want to see the fruits of my labor. And it turns out, and my husband, I love him. He is my biggest teacher. His pace is like a damn turtle who's down to one leg. Okay? I love my husband, but he, in his growth journey, it is a slow roll, baby. It is a slow burn. And the truth is, he's actually quite okay with who he is. And he is growing because, number one, he moved to Colorado from Wisconsin, a small town, with a best friend. That took a lot of courage. Number two, he got back into college and finished his college degree at CU Boulder. Number three, he quit smoking cigarettes after smoking his whole life. And number four, he became a stepdad to Camden, which forced him to grow. And now we've got Chloe too. And so you all know, everyone who's listening that's a parent, you can't not grow in your parenthood journey. Our kids are our biggest teachers because they reveal parts of us that are ready to do work. They reveal our triggers and our wounding. And we want to be the best parents we can be. And so we're constantly like thinking about that and looking at that. And so don't get it wrong. My husband is growing, but it's at such a different pace and also a different intensity level than me. And what I'm learning is that not only is that okay, and I don't need to force growth on the poor guy, but it's also actually quite beautiful. Because if everybody was here to grow and expand at the intense rate that I do, what would the foundation be? Like, where do we come home and rest and ride the wave? Where do we find contentment? And so there's a beautiful balance that we're trying to continuously like renegotiate and find between us, where we can settle and I can grow, and then we can settle and I can grow. But what doesn't work is trying to force someone else to heal and grow at the same rate as you are. And so here's some things that might help you instead. Number one, just going first and doing your work positively affects every single person in your sphere. I already talked about the transgenerational, but from an energetic standpoint, when one woman heals, the ripple of good that throws into the universe is beyond measure. This is why I'm so passionate about this work, because when I think of the world that we could live in, the more that mothers heal, the more that women heal and become who they were destined to be, and they start to create businesses and lead teams from that authentic place, that healed, whole place, I really feel like we could figure some things out, right? And so you have to know that just by you going first, by you being the person in the home that's healing, there is such a ripple of good. You're making it okay for your kids, right? So when you normalize therapy in your home, you're opening the door for your kids to go to therapy. When you're feeling big feelings and processing them in your home, you're teaching your kids it's okay to have feelings. Let's not stuff them. When your kids see you doing breath work and meditation and going on walks and crying and journaling and talking to friends and talking to a therapist and repairing when you fucked up and made a mistake, you're teaching them that it is okay to be human. And if we want to get to the root of the perfectionism crisis, we have to start to raise children in homes where we can normalize the messy part of being human, which is to feel a lot of big feelings and to use tools to help you navigate them versus stuffing them. I feel like half of our societal problems are because boys are raised not to cry, and they stuffed all their aggression and they stuffed all of their feelings and they've stuffed all of their power. And so then it comes out in weird ways. And same thing for women. Like, it comes out for men in aggression, and then we shame them for being aggressive. And it comes out for women as being people pleasers, perfectionists, anxious, autoimmune, and then that becomes a problem. If we can start to normalize, wow, to be human is to feel a wide range of emotions all in one day. And it's about learning to ride those waves. It's about leveraging tools to help you process feelings. It's about being in community. It's about supporting. It's about moving our bodies in a way that feel good. It's about choosing to focus on the good after we just cried out the hard, right? This will literally change our planet and human beings walking on this planet just by us normalizing our own healing journey. Now, let me share the caveat. This is not your past to dump on your children. We do not want to trauma dump on our children or anyone else for that matter. We don't want to be living in a constant state of dysregulation because that creates anxiety for our children. But this is about saying, you know what, mommy gets easily overstimulated. And so it's really important that I take breaks throughout the day to go outside, to earth, and to breathe, and then doing it. Like, I remember for the first few years of Chloe's life, she was like confused by my morning ritual and my meditation, and she thought it was weird and all of this. And now she gets it. She's just like, listen, my mommy, in order to be the best mommy she can be, she needs to breathe. She needs to meditate. She needs to go to dance class. She needs to go to therapy. She needs to cry sometimes. She needs to color. And that's a beautiful thing. Now, I don't tell Chloe everything that I'm crying about because I'm sensitive to what's appropriate and safe for her psychologically. And I do think this distinction is important to discuss because while I'm an advocate for naming and normalizing mental health issues, I still think that we have a duty to protect our children and to keep them psychologically safe. And so being, letting them in on everything that you're struggling with as a human might not be age appropriate for them. Only throwing your pain on them, only letting them see your anger. But I would rather you say, you know what, mommy is angry. I'm going to step away and go scream in the basement. Mommy is angry. I need to go for a walk. Mommy was angry and she shouted at you, and I am so sorry because you didn't deserve that. And I'm actually not mad at you. I'm mad at myself and repairing. And so I think it's important that we own our healing journeys, but it does need to be psychologically safe for our people, and it does need to be age appropriate. All right. So aside from just making the powerful decision to heal and the ripple of good that comes with that, here's my suggestion number 2 to help you. Communicate. And P.S., these are things that I'm still working through. I am not an expert at any of these. I am still navigating it unperfected style. But what I have figured out is when you're growing and you feel like your partner is not, or your bestie is not, or your parents are not, communicating, and not from a place of triggered, communicating what you're going through and what you're working on or what you're choosing to do with your life that's different is really healthy. So it's like, you know what, babe, I get up and meditate because this is what it's doing for me. Meditation is doing this for me. Meditation is doing that for me. It helps me. I start my day regulated. I have less road rage. I have more patience. I have more alignment to my spirit, soul, and intuition. And what I've found is when you're just letting people know, you're just communicating what you're up to, a lot of them get curious and they ask you more questions like why or what got you into that. And we don't want to take it personally when people aren't curious because there's a million reasons why they might not be. You healing might be triggering to someone else who knows deep down they have work to do, but they're not ready. And so that's got to be okay because everybody is on their own journey and they get to do the work if they're called to do the work and when it's right for them and unfortunately at their own pace. And so communicating, I'm in therapy and here's what I'm working on. I need a morning ritual to regulate my nervous system. I like to go outside in the middle of the day because it helps me this, and this. That helps like share your journey and invite your loved ones into your journey without putting the pressure on them to do it all with you. Now, tip number 3 is you can invite them into your journey. And not meaning like, babe, you have to sit with me in meditation. You can invite your loved ones to therapy with you if you feel like that's helpful. You can invite your loved ones to do meditation or go on a daily walk, but they don't have to. When I talk about bringing them into the journey, I mean like communicating for them what your mission is with your healing, becoming, and rising process and like sharing along the way what you're discovering about yourself, what you're learning, where you're struggling, what insights are you gaining, what ahas are you having, what are you curious about. I feel like when we bring our loved ones along for the journey, there is some good that is happening there because number 1, you are naming and normalizing your own process. And number 2, they're going to start to see some results in you, which number 3 just makes their lives easier and better, or they get curious about it. Right. And so if you're feeling frustrated that you're growing and evolving and shifting and leveling up and changing and shedding and healing layers and figuring all these things out about yourself to make you more conscious, and you don't feel like your partner is doing a damn thing, the more that you can share your journey and invite them in and they can see the changes in you, the more they're going to lean into that. And the leaning in is going to look different for every person. But the more they're going to say, wow, Brooke, like I can't help but notice ever since you've been really focused on energy, all of these magnificent things are coming into your life. Wow, Brooke, I can't help but notice ever since you've really been doing this healing work, you're more open. Your heart is more open. You can express yourself better. Wow, Brooke, ever since you've been doing these rituals, you seem more patient with Chloe. You seem more regulated. Tell me more about what you're doing. And they're either going to just be inspired because you're doing the damn thing, or they're going to be inspired to take action. And so I just think there is so much power in choosing to heal and embodying the discoveries and the findings and the new ways of being, because if nothing else, that creates a positive shift in all of the dynamics of the relationships that you participate in. But when we are doing the work to change, grow, and evolve, and our partner is not, it's very easy to get frustrated and disappointed. It's very easy to point the finger and say, I'm doing all this work over here and you're not doing anything. And then hoping that that's going to motivate them to start taking better care of themselves. Listen to me because I have learned it the hard way. That is not motivating. In fact, not only are they not going to start meditating with you and going to therapy and doing all the things, they're going to resist it even more because the way that you came at it, they're going to be in resistance. It's like, even if I wanted to do breath work, well, now I'm not going to do it because you're a turd and the way that you communicated that to me made me feel less than. So screw you. Now, even if I wanted to, I won't. It's kind of like parenting teenagers, right? Preaching to them to eat their vegetables. Unfortunately, it doesn't work in the moment. But when we can model for them that we eat this way, then yeah, they're absorbing all of that. They're absorbing. And so people learn from who we are more than what we're doing and what we're telling them to do. And so what I mean by that is, like, energetically speaking, if I want my family to be more calm, the best and most efficient strategy I can have is to embody more calm in our home. If I want more love in my relationship, I got to be more loving. If I want deeper intimacy and deeper connection and deeper chats, I've got to learn how to communicate at that level. But what I spent a lot of years doing was being like, come on, get on my level. And why aren't you growing? And why aren't you healing? And why aren't you changing? And blah, 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 blah. It doesn't do what you think it does. Okay. So number one, you deciding to heal has enough ripple of good that your job can be done there. Number two, communicating your intention with your healing journey, communicating your goals with your becoming journey, sharing your insights and the things that really are helping you and serving you, not in a, I'm going to preach it to you and you should, I'm dropping this in your lap because you should, but because I genuinely want to share with you my journey and my experience, which then leads you to number three, which is to invite them along for your journey, not for their journey, not for your journey together, but for your journey. It's like, this is why I'm doing what I'm doing, and this is what I'm learning. And yes, do you want to come on a walk with me? Cool. If you don't, whatever. And then the fourth and final thing is just really radically accepting others for who they are and where they are and allowing them to be on their own journey. Allowing acceptance. It's like, is it okay if your partner doesn't go to therapy? Maybe, maybe not. Is it okay if your partner never unpacks their trauma? Maybe, maybe not. Now, if there's something that's super dysfunctional in your relationship that you know requires a professional, then yeah, then you get to have your boundaries and say, honey, I can see that you're carrying a lot of pain and you're bringing it into our home and it's not comfortable anymore. We got to talk about how we're going to get you healthy. What are your thoughts? How are you feeling? Or, honey, I can see that you're numbing out with drinking a lot. And that is feeling like a disconnection from us. And I'm wanting more of you. Are you okay? This is not to say that you are not allowed to communicate the way your partner's behavior is affecting you or the relationship. You absolutely can. And you absolutely can have boundaries and you absolutely can have standards. So this isn't saying I'm over here healing and you get to be, addicted to porn and drugs and be not present and be a turd. And I got to let you be on your journey. No, you get to say, honey, I'm noticing this behavior. I'm concerned about you. I'm noticing this behavior. It's affecting our family. It's affecting our intimacy. It's affecting our dynamic. What are you needing right now? But still, you cannot be responsible for somebody else's transformation. And so you will have some sticking points. You will have some decisions to make in your life. Like, what happens if my parents never heal? Can I be okay with that? Can I love and accept them as they are and just know that I was the chosen one in the family to do the work, and I'm happy to do it because there must be something really badass and special about me that I was the one called forward to do the work. And because I've done the work, can I see my family with love and grace and gratitude and still boundaries? Same thing in your relationship. Can you see it as a privilege instead of a burden that you were the chosen one to do the work? And just be glad and grateful that you get to bring a new level of awareness, a new level of consciousness, a new level of intention to your marriage or your family. This shift in perspective has been changing so much for me lately. I used to wear it like a badge of honor that I was the chosen one to do the work, but underneath that, there was a lot of resentment. Like, why does life have to be so hard for me? Like, how nice it must be to just wake up and be okay with your damn self and never think that you have work to do. Like, what is that like? What is that like? What do you mean you don't feel like you need to grow and do more? Like, how? But what I'm realizing now that I'm trying to soften is like, holy shit, my husband is my best teacher for self-acceptance. How beautiful. My husband is my best teacher for contentment. How beautiful. My husband is my best teacher for sticking something out for the longest time ever and truly being good with it. How beautiful. Because I'm always wanting to do more and grow and la 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 la. And if I didn't have that to ground me, I would burn myself out with my own growth journey. How many of you out there apply your perfectionism to your freaking healing journey? I'm not healing fast enough. I'm not doing enough. I'm not doing enough workbooks. It's not happening. It's like we're really just kind of transferring the problem. But what if our partners chose us because they wanted to grow more than we're giving them credit for? And what if we subconsciously chose our partners because we wanted to be reminded that it's all enough as it is? Choosing to see this dynamic differently is changing my relationship. And, I just today in session, my client was like, wow, so, you do all this work to become emotionally intelligent. You do all this work to process emotions and have this beautiful emotional range and to move the emotions out of your body so that you can open up your channel to hear your intuition, to hear your body signals, which this piece is so important for women. If you haven't listened to last week's episode, I dive deep into how women are at war with their bodies and it is disconnecting us from our gifts. And we have got to make peace with our bodies. We've got to move the trauma out. We've got to get decongested with all the emotions that are repressed and suppressed so that we can become an open channel to our own inner knowing system, our own well of wisdom that's in our womb, and all of the guidance from whatever divine entity that you believe in. And so I do think it's important that we move and flush emotions out of our body. But my client was like, what do you do when you know that your parents are never going to do that? And I said, you are not going to love my answer because it's not sexy. And I learned this the hard way. And I know what's the truth is you love them and accept them as they are, unless they've crossed a boundary, in which case you get to decide the level of engagement that you want to be in the relationship. But if you're just worried because your dad still stuffs all of his stress and he's not buying into your meditation program, let him. Love him and continue to be the example of what's possible when you do your meditation without being like, look, dad, look, dad, right? What if your mother still stuffs her feelings and doesn't use her voice and doesn't advocate for herself? You let them and you love them. And you say, everybody is on their own journey. It's okay. Because 9 times out of 10, deep down, your mom is cheering you on. And she's going, damn, I wish that I had the courage to do that. Damn, I wish I had the opportunity. Damn, I wish I had the knowledge. Damn, I wish I had the audacity. And look at her go, even if she doesn't express it. Because that would require a level of vulnerability that population just didn't get. But 9 times out of 10, your mom is rooting for you and cheering you on, and you're doing exactly what she wishes she could have done. She just doesn't have the tools to tell you. Now, the 1% are those of you that have mothers that are narcissists and are jealous of you and put you down and hurt you, or who have just so much work to do that they've become unhealthy, in which case it is okay for you to have boundaries. It is okay for you to not be close in that relationship. It is okay for you to claim space from that person. But 9 times out of 10, your mom is like so proud that you've become a version of woman that she never felt like she could. And it heals something in her every time you take care of yourself, every time you do the work, every time you go for your dreams, every time you advocate for yourself, every time you handle things in an emotionally intelligent way. 9 times out of 10, your mom is cheering you on, and your dad too. And so again, just by us choosing to heal, there's a ripple of good. They don't have to change. And I will also say that, like, maybe your partner not growing or changing is a beautiful reminder for you that you get to do your healing in phases. Like, healing and becoming is not a linear path where you just go, 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 go. I highly recommend that you do it in phases and waves. It's like, do your trauma work and then do life at this place where you've done that work. And then when you get triggered with something, come back and do another layer of your work, and then do life, and then do a layer of your work, and then do life. You don't have to go, go, go forever and ever, amen, and burn yourself out with your own healing journey. And also, if it lights your soul on fire and it really actually energizes you, it's okay to keep going. But I guess what I'm offering here is, if you have a partner who's not growing, what can you learn from them instead of pointing the finger and blaming them and saying, you're not growing with me? What if there was a lesson somewhere buried in there for you? Like, it's okay to chill. It's okay to go slow. It's okay to not promote. It's okay to be okay with yourself. 9 times out of 10. There are. And then the other times, listen, maybe your partner really does need to heal and grow, but they're going to come at it when they're ready. And they're more likely to start when they feel loved. They're not going to be motivated to start when they feel behind, when they feel less than, when they feel called out and put down. That's not when they're going to go, you know what? You're actually right. I need to grow. Where's my therapist? Let me go to the doctor. Let me go to therapy. Let me work out. Let me meditate. In fact, what's that podcast that you've been listening to? Anderson, Huberman, whatever. Can you send me all of Huberman's episodes? I would really love to break down the neuroscience of happiness. No! And trust me, honey, because I tried. I was like, you should read this book. You should listen to this podcast. You should try these supplements. You should go to therapy. You should look at your childhood. That never motivated the person that I love to heal, become, and rise. And it's interesting because the thing that I teach clients every day is we cannot shame ourselves skinny. We cannot shame ourselves successful. And what I mean by that is we will never have any sort of sustainable growth when we're starting from a place of shame and I'm not enough. And so I need to do something to make myself better. You're already starting out of the gates in a losing battle with yourself. And so it's like, I knew that in my cognitive brain. And yet I'm just wanting everybody to do their inner work so that they can have a different external reality. And the truth is, not everybody feels like they need one. Not everybody feels like they need to become the best version of themselves. Some people are like, I just need to survive. And we need to meet that with love, acceptance, and compassion. Some people are like, I've already done better than my parents and grandparents, and I'm good right here. Love, acceptance, compassion. Some people are like, I don't want to touch my trauma. I'm actually functioning okay. I don't need to dig that shit up. Love, acceptance, and compassion. Some people are like, I'll do a little bit of work and then I'm going to coast for a long ass time. Love, compassion, and acceptance. And the other thing that I've learned is the more that I can meet myself with love, compassion, and acceptance, the easier it is for me to offer the same to the others, right? And so when I start getting like the urge to control and to push people to grow and to make sure my husband's doing the work and make sure my kids know everything that I know, when I fall into that trap, what I do is I notice it, I name it, I pause and I breathe, and I take a step out and I go, why am I feeling like I need to control this? What is this really about? What is this really about that's mine to own? And it's usually like, I need to keep working on the anxiety. I need to regulate my nervous system. I need to surrender. I need to release control. I need to see how much work I've already done. I need to celebrate how much work I've already done. I need to revisit self-compassion and self-acceptance. I need to revisit spiritual practices that remind me that I'm right on time, baby. So when I try to fix things that are outside of me, it's usually an indicator that I need to come home to myself and take a deep breath and chill the fuck out. And so maybe you're listening and you're like, wow, I've been trying to fix everyone in my family. This is an invitation for you to go inward and for you to do your own work of coming home to yourself and of showing yourself love, acceptance, and compassion. Do we get to heal, become, and rise? Yes. But are we already whole and worthy? Yes. We've really got to start to play with the fact that both can exist. Like, I am already worthy and whole and enough, and I choose to do all of this work so that I can have a really clean, energetic field and a regulated nervous system so that I can fill in the blank. But do I have to do all of this work to be worthy, to be whole, to be enough? No. And neither do you. We get to if we choose to. And a lot of us, if you're listening to this podcast, you're the chosen one, babe. You were chosen to be the cycle breaker. You are a badass warrior. And you get to go at your own pace. And stop trying to fix everyone around you. Just because you've said yes to the call doesn't mean everyone else around you has to. Now, it does start to get a little hairy when you're growing over here and your partner's growing over here and you're not growing together, in which case communication and bringing them along on the journey will help you at least get back into the same arena, the same playground. But what I see a lot of people do is like, oh, I'm growing and they're not, so now I need to exit this relationship. Not necessarily. Sometimes, yes. Sometimes the more healing that you do, the more you realize that you're not treated right. And you get to decide that you want better. You get to decide if this relationship is still healthy and in alignment for you. I'm not saying you have to stay. What I'm saying is, I promise you they're not going to grow at the same rate as you. And how do we get with that and be okay with that? And when we do get with that, which is a journey that I am still on and still figuring out, they actually open up more. It's like the more that I leave my husband alone and let him live and cherish him for who he is, the more he's like, wait, so tell me why breath work is a big deal. But if I want to tell him why breath work is a big deal because he needs it, because I can see his anxiety is 10 out of 10, he's less likely to be curious. He's less likely to be open. That's going to be shut down. So we don't have to heal our parents. We don't have to fix our partners. Our partners, our parents, our loved ones do not have to be on the same exact healing journey as us, the same exact spiritual journey as us. If we continue to meet them with love, acceptance, and kindness while communicating what's going on with us and inviting them along on the journey, you're going to have a better outcome. It's not your responsibility. All too often, we're reaching outside of ourselves because we actually want to fix something inside of ourselves. It's like, if I can just force my partner to go to therapy, that will ease something inside of me. If I can just get my dad to meditate, that will make me feel less worried about him. What if we were to say, you know what? I'm going to work on this worry instead. So that's a lot of rambles. That's a lot of riffing. I hope there was something in there that resonated, that landed for you, that you could put in your back pocket and weave it into your world. The moral of the story is, do our loved ones have to grow and heal at the same rate and pace as us? No, they don't. And trying to get them to will just make everybody in the house crazy. These are the things I would rather you do. Be the energy shift, be the healer or the healed, be the one that stops the cycles, embody this healed version of yourself and trust that that has so many ripples of good. Number 2, communicate what you're going through, what you're working on, why it's important to you, what you're curious about, what it's all like. And number 3, invite them in the journey. Tell them your milestones, tell them your goals, share with them what's working, ask them to be an accountability buddy, see if they want to go on a walk with you, see if they want to come on a retreat with you, and don't be triggered if they say, thanks, but that's not for me right now. Unless, and all of this comes with unless you're in an unhealthy situation, in which case you got to set your boundaries, you got to communicate, you got to have your standards, and those things don't apply if you're in like an abusive situation of any kind. That's it for today, my loves. I am sending you all so much love today and always. Please take care of yourselves and therefore each other. And I will see you same time, same place next week. Bye for now. Mwah.
Hey mama, if you made it to the end of this episode, I just want to virtually high five you because you've said yes to the opportunity of taking better care of yourself. And that is so meaningful and so amazing. You have no idea the ripple of goodness that's to come. If you've been enjoying the show, if you've been finding it helpful, if you've laughed a little or learned a new technique, will you do me a favor? Will you make sure that you're following the show, that you've given us a 5-star rating and left a review? That will absolutely help us get this podcast into more heads and hearts of as many mamas as possible. Because when we heal the mother, we heal the world. Also, if there's a specific episode that you've loved, will you make sure to share it with a friend? Just send them the link or share it on social media and make sure you tag me at Brooke Jean Unperfected because I absolutely love seeing that this is actually giving you the impact that you so desire and deserve. Thank you so much, mamas. Make sure you're taking care of yourselves and therefore each other.